Yes.
See any research on exercise? I've gotten some professional opinions as far as things like sit-ups or crunches. Do you agree? And the other is to have these neck exercises.
Yeah, I'll talk about that, yeah. Well, in general, regular exercise, he's asking about exercises in general and also throat exercises for sleep apnea.
And the crunches.
And crunch, yeah. So any kind of general exercise where you're moving around cardiovascular-wise, that's good, not just for sleep apnea, right? So it'll help you to lose weight, be more fit and healthy. But specifically for the neck, I mean, there are tongue exercises that have been proposed, and there was a paper recently that showed that it lowered the apnea-hypopnea index, I think it was like 38%. Which, I mean, but you know, this is what I find funny is that all these adjunctive, non-mainstream sleep apnea treatments, they all work around 40 to 50% of the time. So I think even the didgeridoo, it was like, I forget what the numbers were, like 40 or 50%. Tongue exercises, like 38, 40%.
Tongue what?
Tongue exercises. Acupuncture was about 50%.
Why never saw the tongue exercise?
Sorry?
Where do you know?
Oh, there's lots of different resources. I actually did an interview with an inventor of IJustWantToSleep.com. That's a website. It's a DVD booklet training kit. And you'll see, if you go to the internet, you'll see various other options. Yeah.
My wife wanted to ask this question. She has trouble breathing in high humidity. Like this kind of weather, she just can't breathe. And I know you mentioned something about it, but what could be the possible causes of that?
Where does she feel the obstruction? In her nose or in the chest?
Her nose.
So that goes along with the weather changes, like humidity, pressure, temperature variations, fluctuations, causing inflammation. And so humidity also causes more swelling of the turbinates too. So one thing she could experiment with is to try nasal saline to see if that alleviates some of the congestion.
She's using that and it helps briefly and then it comes back. Are there other sprays that over time?
See, that's the problem is that you can use decongestant pills like Sudafed. Personally, I don't like using those medicines as much because it has systemic effects. Like it can raise your blood pressure, make you a little jittery, or prevent you from falling asleep.
But also, she's nursing right now, so maybe there's special caution.
Yeah, especially because of that, there aren't that many options besides just do the saline on a regular basis.
Would surgery help possibly?
Well, in theory, surgery can help with any of these conditions, but is that something that's going to get better after the humidity is gone or after she stops breastfeeding? So it's a personal choice. You can always do these in-office, very conservative options too. It usually doesn't last as long. We just put a little needle inside the turbinates and cauterize the blood vessels. So that's like a 5-10 minute procedure. So that's kind of an in-between intermediate step before we go to formal surgery. Yes?
Like alternative, like acupressure or acupuncture that could help nasal decongestion?
I recommend, I refer patients all the time. If you go to Eastern medicine, and I don't practice Eastern medicine, but I mean, Eastern medicine, it's a totally different philosophy of medicine. It's more holistic and not so mechanical like in Western medicine. But the way I see Eastern medicine is they're much better at balancing any of these imbalances in your body. Especially physiologically, remember I mentioned, by definition, when you have sleep apnea, you're going to have this relative imbalance in your involuntary nervous system. So in general, you're going to have too much of this stress response. And so what acupuncture does is it just has a way of realigning these imbalances. So that's probably the mechanism in which that study showed that acupuncture lowered the apnea-hypopnea index by 50% in one study.
I could comment
Yes.
on this
Yeah.
because I went to an acupuncturist. I've seen her maybe 12 times. I go every week. And it's interesting, what she said to me right at the beginning made a lot of sense. She said, I want you to understand, I will not tell you that acupuncture can cure sleep apnea. And she's dealt with quite a few people now who've had sleep apnea. But she said that because she asks so many health questions when she sees someone for the first time, she gets a feeling for all the various things that are wrong with this person. And she said, it's not just sleep apnea. People have so many other things that are going on. And many of them are things that she can deal with through acupuncture. And it is a matter of putting the body into balance. I found it very helpful.
Does that mean that?
I still have sleep apnea,
But it mitigates the effects of sleep apnea.
Yes.
Does that mean that that's acupuncture that help not cure sleep apnea, but help make it less severe?
Make you feel better.
Not make it less severe, though.
To some degree,
It's
yes.
not that we off CPAP.
I wouldn't, don't go into it thinking it's going to cure the sleep apnea.
Yes.
Because there's no such thing as sleep apnea in Chinese medicine.
There's different degrees of sleep apnea. That in my case, I know that I need the machine, but what I meant is does it can it alleviate to the extent that you have all the alternatives, like that appliance and things that you can do.
I really can't comment on that. I mean, all I can say is that it's a complementary form of treatment. It's not meant to replace traditional methods. Yeah. Yes?
Are there any of the nasal expansion devices that could work with the CPAP nasal pillows?
Well, if you use a nasal pillow, you're kind of stenting open your nostrils anyway.
They're kind of soft.
Yeah. I mean, you could use a breathe right strip along with the nasal pillows too. But I don't think it's wise to put a device in your nose and put the interface inside your nostrils, because you may end up jamming it in deeper inside.
And it would be difficult to sleep
Yeah.
that way anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt like the last 2 weeks have been rather unique in that I thought I was getting sick and had a sore throat, but actually I think a lot of people did. It actually so much so it compelled me, is there something different with the environment? And it seemed like the last few weeks there was a lot of ozone stagnation, much more than normal, nothing I have to follow, and then some sort of particle index was way higher than usual. So beyond just the heat wave, just curious if you happen to know anything about that, or if you've gotten a lot of complaints in the last few weeks about such things.
Well, weather and environmental changes is a major aggravator or trigger for nasal inflammation. So you're right, especially with the heat, the humidity, I guess the ozone quality also changes, pollution index also rises. So all these potential irritants, some known, some unknown, can aggravate your nose. So I'm not surprised to hear that. A lot of people are suffering right now just from not just the heat, but all the other effects that go along with the heat and the humidity.